This is video 6 in a series of fire training videos designed to give you basic knowledge for dealing with fire safety and emergency procedures in the workplace. There is more involved in a first response to an emergency than there is to a simple evacuation of a building. It is suggested that you definitely bring in an expert to take your staff and managers through these details. Again, all new staff should be made aware of what the first response steps are for a fire or emergency. For example, if there is a suspected fire, the first response might be to break the glass on a fire alarm box to set off the fire alarm. Sometimes employees need to be reassured that it is better to be safe than sorry, and that it's okay to set off the alarm if they suspect a fire. Existing employees would benefit from first response refresher training each year. In the case of a fire, the first response might require an employee to know how to use a fire extinguisher and how to be aware of what types of materials and what types of fires the various extinguishers are suitable for. For example, it's actually dangerous to use a water hose or water extinguisher on an electrical fire. First response training might also include use of fire hoses. Fire regulations require that certain members of staff are assigned certain first response tasks, and these need to be made clear. A workplace emergency planning committee should be brought together to help compile a suitable first response procedure and agree on who does what in the event of a fire or other emergencies. There are regulations relating to planning for emergencies and the functions of a planning committee which you should be aware of. Once the emergency plan has been compiled by the emergency planning committee, that group continues to have responsibility for maintaining and changing and updating the emergency plan and procedures for the facility or business, and they always need to be aware of any changes in the business or any changes to the building or the use of the building. This committee should also oversee the training requirements and timetable for the staff. It is recommended that this committee meets at least once every year. When planning for emergencies, remember to consider how you will deal with people who have special needs. The typical roles required of an emergency team include a communications officer, also called chief warden, who are identified during a drill with their white safety hats, and wardens and deputy wardens who are identified by red or yellow safety hats. These people are responsible for mobilizing other employees during an emergency. The roles of these people should be discussed by the emergency planning committee, but the roles are also set out in legislation. This is another area where it is helpful to get the assistance of specialist consultants. As a minimum, remember, if there is an emergency, look to the people with the safety hats for direction. In video 7, we will look at what constitutes an emergency and the various codes for emergencies.